Hi, everybody. When I was just a kid, I started a business, a used golf ball business with my best friend. And this guy here was our inspiration. Who knows his name? Right. Well, I got to tell you, when we were 13 years old, we never guessed one day we'd start to look like our hero. But we did love the scuba gear that he invented, and we used it to fish about 100 balls a month or a week out of this lake off the golf course. And then the next morning after that all happened, golfers would come up, and just before they were teeing off, I'd run up to them and I'd say, "Hey, mister, before you tee off over that lake, how'd you like to buy some used golf balls, 3 for $1? Hit one of these babies in the leg, it only costs you 33 cents. Question: what kind of golfers do you think buy used golf balls? Good ones or bad ones? Bad ones, right. And so what do a lot of them do with it right away? Where do they hit it right away? Back in the water. What do me and my buddy do? We go fishing, right. It's like inventory magic. You got it, you sell it, you still got it. But our customers loved us. And so we had a very successful business going, so successful that when the golf pro found out how much money we were making on his lake, he turned us into the park rangers. They called the cops. The cops cuffed us, confiscated our inventory, and perp walked us off the course to end the golf ball business. So that's one of the early challenges where I learned, first of all, now I understood the power of government regulation. Then I understood why loyalty is so important in life, in business, but really in life. Just for yourselves. How many of you right now are in some kind of a loyal, long-term, committed relationship? Say, more than a month. Okay, congratulations. How many of you took it further, like Curtis, and had a bunch of kids? Anybody have a bunch of kids in this room? Okay, well, I felt you, Curtis, when you spoke, because I have, my wife and I have 5 kids. So it is more than a hobby with us. And I don't think I'm the only man that swore to his wife that we were not going to have any kids because I had other plans. And, but yet, Betsy, that's my wife right there in the middle, right there. She has a very powerful way about her, and she had a different vision for our future. And you can tell by that picture that her vision was stronger than mine. And by the way, I don't mean to disparage her at all. In fact, a great lady when we've had a good time together. But one of the things that I've discovered is that she knows how to kind of get what she wants. And so I guess you could say that's a strong take charge woman, right? Like even when we go on vacation, she does all the driving. I just have to sit there and hold the steering wheel. Gentlemen, understand anybody? Ever had a co-pilot like that? Brian, co-pilot like that? So to kind of wrap the story up and go forward just a little bit, I've discovered that this has a big parallel in the business world. And for example, we'll tie it to her leaving me. This was fun. When I came home from work one day, my wife was packing, and I just assumed, a surprise was planned. And I said, "Hey, honey, what's up? Are we going on vacation?" She says, "No, you are going nowhere," she said. "I'm leaving you. After 10 years, I just can't stand you anymore." I said, "Is there another man?" And she said, "Well, there's got to be another man." And that's when I recalled that in business, people are losing customers all the time. And there's lots of research on this, but companies lose half their customers every 5 years. That's fun. 20 to 50% of their employees are lost annually. So the challenge here, and the thing that ties back to loyalty is, the problem here is an absence of loyalty. That is the big deal that I want to address with you today and see if there's something we can do to solve it. So this is some recent research showing you in just hard numbers, like what is the effect of the lack of loyalty? Well, you can see on the left side there that there's some people that have what we call loyalty leadership characteristics. They don't suffer from a lack of loyalty, but this just the opposite. And you can see here that if you have the distinction of being a loyalty leader, in your industry, the rule of thumb is they grow twice as fast as their industry average. And then, not only is that good news, but these sales are more profitable, as you can see by the graph on the right-hand side there, because they save money with the lack of employee turnover and the need to acquire more and more customers. So as a result of this discovery, there's a whole new movement here afoot to re-recognize the value of the customers you have over the value of chasing new customers. Because it turns out that in business, ambition for growth is universal. Appreciation for what we have, sometimes not so much. And so what I wanted to share with you today are some ideas based in the form of an example. There's a bank you may or may not have heard of called Metro Bank, as you see here. They opened a single bank in 2010 and proceeded to demonstrate through that bank the power of loyalty to grow a business. They've grown to 60 locations already, still going strong. And as you can see, attracted a $12.5 billion in deposits, which is a huge amount of money for 60 locations. They serve 1.2 million individuals, and they serve 500,000 businesses, or I'm sorry, 150,000 businesses in the UK. And this is the killer statistic. 80% of their new customers come from referral. All of you thinking about your collective experience, would you say that's usual or unusual? Unusual, a lot unusual or just a little unusual? A lot unusual, right. It's extremely unusual. In fact, that's the reason why I thought this is worth sharing with you, because things like this don't very often happen in the world of business. So I'm going to just start off with a little explanation of how it works. When they first opened in London, no one knew who they were. They started this advertisement, "Love Your Bank." And obviously that is an attention-grabbing advertisement. And they almost had no choice but to do something very attention-getting. Do you know why? Because in England, only 5 banks control 95% of the business. Each of those 5 banks is more than 100 years old. People in the UK just are not accustomed to changing banks. They just don't do it. So they had to find some way to make customers love them and actually want to change banks, because that is not normally how it goes on in the UK. So here is their explanation of how they make customers love them. And I circled their service promise that I love the most. No stupid bank rules. Well, as consumers, what are stupid bank rules? What's that? Okay, close at 5. Checking fees, yep. Teller fees, okay. Who loves paying ATM fees? What's that? Overdraft fees, sure. You know what they are? Those stupid bank rules are all the things that everyone hates about their current bank. And the first one they eliminated when they opened Metro Bank was they eliminated ATM fees. The idea of taking your own money out and paying for the privilege just didn't seem to make sense to them. They also are very fast and very friendly. The friendly part you've kind of got to feel, but I can explain the fast in pure numbers. You can take a valid ID into a Metro Bank, and you can walk away with an opened account, printed checks, and a printed credit card in 15 minutes. Other banks take about an hour to get the same thing done. So because of this, tons of word of mouth gets spread like wildfire from people that, wow, I've never seen this happen, never felt this is so great, you'd have to see it to believe it. And so that's how the business originally got driven. And in fact, as you can see at the top of that list of characteristics, they are literally claiming that they're going to surprise and delight every customer, which seems kind of far-fetched to me. You know, I would be skeptical if I were you and if I hadn't seen this for myself. So I'm going to show you why it's different for Metro Bank and see if you cannot pick up 2 or 3 ideas that could be applied to your business. Well, let's start with the outside. First of all, it doesn't look like a stodgy old bank from the outside. As you can see, it looks more like an upscale retailer. What retailer in particular does it kind of look like? Oh, I was going to say Apple, but okay, Target, right? it doesn't look like a stodgy old bank. It looks fantastic. And that's just on the outside. When you step inside, it's kind of like stepping into a fine hotel, maybe a Westin or something, where the music, the lighting, the furnishings, the whole vibe of the place just kind of makes you feel good. And as a result of that, people are, again, attracted to go to the bank. This is the only bank I know of that is not working toward more electronic banking and less human contact, but more human contact and less electronic banking. And so as a result of that, their ATMs are inside their facilities, not outside, so you can stand in the rain and unload your money as you pay for the privilege of doing that. These are some of my favorite characteristics. First of all, they are famous for being dog lovers. And this is an authentic characteristic of the owners. The owners are a couple. I'll tell you more about them later. But this couple, they have little dogs. And so they love dogs. Well, how many of you have dogs? Okay, would you say it's a fair statement that if somebody else likes dogs and you don't know anything else about them and they let dogs in their banks, would you sort of be drawn to the affinity of that? It's kind of cool. I mean, nobody lets dogs in their bank or encourages that. But what they do at Metro Bank is you can see the little scarf on the dog. That's a freebie. Doggy bowls, water, biscuits, all that stuff. So they make it eminently clear that, hey, we love dogs. And it's not just like fluff. They have regular doggy adopt-a-thons in their banks on the weekends. And when you come in to a doggy adopt-a-thon and you actually adopt a dog and simultaneously open an account at Metro Bank, they give you a 20-pound complimentary initial deposit. So they're serious about that. Another thing that's interesting is banks usually don't cater to kids, but they advertise for kids. And the thing for kids is they have this magic money machine, which they simply redesigned a coin counter to look kind of cool. Then the kids dump their coins in there, and lo and behold, they get the money back in form of a receipt. They can turn it in, and it's a very successful way to get kids interested. Then they give them a piggy bank to take with. So it's been very successful at being different than other banks, as well as attracting them. So these are the folks that founded it. Vernon and Shirley Hill, literally a mom and pop bank, if you could believe that. They've written a book about it. I'd recommend it. It's a 45-minute read. I loved it. This is why they think they're successful. And this is different than all other banks. Most other banking managers think that what drives customer loyalty is rates, the cost of borrowing and the payment on your deposits. So other banks work deliberately to try to lower the cost of loaning you money for you and try to raise the cost of paying you money, the deposits. Well, the Hills think just the opposite. They go ahead and give all these extra services, and they just charged a little bit more on the rates that they charge, and they just pay a little bit less on the deposits. And that little difference has allowed them to create this completely different business, where it's a very different and better model for the business. It's a pervasive service culture where the customer really does get treated better and differently. And finally, fanatical execution. It just makes it a clean running machine that just works fast and flawlessly. Well, having that background, I wanted to give you an opportunity, if you're interested in digging into this a little deeper. I work with B2B and B2C clients pretty much like Metro Bank does. And if you'd be interested in seeing sort of a planning, customization, and planning system, where if you want to take that kind of content and help apply it to your industry or your association or whatever, I'd be happy to share that with anybody. Just if you're interested, send me a quick note there. And I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to some success story in another industry and give some consideration to how you can take that kind of a loyalty, inspiring experience and transfer it to your business. Thank you very much for listening.